spin jack fire, getting at it. Doesn't act tired. I like how she dancing that attire. Can't miss it.
Hey everybody, it's Kayla Got the 411. I'm back for another What's Good interview. It's been a good little minute, but I'm happy to have, let me pronounce it again, Chisom.
It's close. Chisom, but
Okay, say it again.
like that. Chisom.
Chisom. So
Yeah.
what's the whole background of your name? Because you are African. Is it a part of your culture?
It is a part of my culture. So, our names tend to have meanings, and they tend to, at least from my part of the culture, they tend to have like a religious meaning, like a faith-based meaning, something like that. And my name means God follows me. So Chi, people from my part of Nigeria, because that's where my family's from.
Yeah.
Chi is part of our name that you'll hear a lot, and that means God. So Chi means God, Som means follows me. So that's the background.
Yeah. Now, Chisom, how are you doing? The interview is called What's Good. So, of course, I got to ask what's good with you. How's your mental health like currently today?
It's pretty good. I think it was a pretty busy day. So I'm just trying to, regulate my stress levels and whatnot. I think that's one thing I pay attention to quite a bit. Just making sure that I don't have too much on my plate. Of course, you're going to be busy, right? But you don't have too much on your plate to the point where you feel overwhelmed, because that's not really good for you. So
yes, we were talking about that off of camera. I'm telling everybody I took a little break. Everybody needs like self-care, mental health days when it's like it's too much. When it's too much, everybody, we live in this culture where everybody's like Brian, but you don't want to work yourself to death.
Exactly. And even like, in the project that we're about to talk about, I think that's a big part of the theme of my music lately, is just getting away from that, kind of subconsciously getting away from that mentality of, oh, you've got to be busy, grinding, hustling all the time. We do that so that we can get away from that one day. So.
Yes. Now, you are a busy man. You just dropped your project called Bracelets. Now, how are you feeling now that it's out? Like, how long did it take you to put this whole project together, first of all?
So it came together, I want to say it came together slowly but quickly. So I think a lot of the themes of the music kind of built up over time just through living life. Because I kind of similar to what you were sharing with me, I also kind of took a little bit of a break. I was still writing, but I wasn't releasing a lot of music. So I think I was just kind of taking that time, to live life, to experience some things that would inspire more music. So that part I would say took maybe about a year and a half, of just writing. But when I decided, okay, I'm going to put together a project and it's going to be called Bracelets, pretty much came together within like 2 to 3 months. So really happened fast.
That's amazing. I love the album title, and I love the meaning behind it as well. I know about it, but I'm gonna let you, tell us more about it later on in the show. So take me back to when you first fell in love with music. Like, you are from Detroit, right? But you are not. Huh?
I was born in Detroit, but I was actually raised in Maryland. So I went back to Detroit a lot, growing up. So I would visit pretty much every year. But I grew up in Maryland, actually. But Detroit still plays a part in the music. But didn't mean to.
So that explains why you are where you are currently residing in now. Now, I read the entire background of the project Braces, how you came up with it, but tell us more about what happened to you and what actually caused you to name it that.
Man, I got to start off with a road trip that I decided to take, right? After this was really towards the end of 2022. So this was August. And I decided I was going to take a road trip to Houston from DC, which is wild. But, I was just going to do it. I was going to spend a month down there because I was kind of thinking, okay, I want to explore, just some other places. I was considering relocating.
Houston has a vibe to it, I've heard. I haven't been to Houston yet, but I heard it just got a vibe. Like, so many great songs has come from there. I mean, how many songs is Drake gonna make when he's in Houston? Come on, that tells us all, right?
He's obsessed. And I mean, probably for good reason. It's a fun town. I had a great time down there. And it was actually much needed. A lot of the album got recorded there. Just because, I think that I just had I got a really nice space where I was able to kind of focus. I think just hanging out with old friends and just the vibes really inspired a lot of writing for me.
Hmm.
But on the way back, I ended up leaving later than I wanted to. I ended up leaving probably around like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, leaving from Houston. So I'm driving through Mississippi at this point,
Oh,
after midnight. And
Lord.
I've never really been through Mississippi, Alabama, like the deep, deep South like that. I've been at Atlanta, places that are more liberal, right?
No.
So I get stopped by the cops, and long story short, they pretty much just harassed me. And it didn't end up as bad as it could have, for sure. It's not like, there's obviously, we know about all of these situations that have happened with the police where, people have died, lost their lives. But, it was definitely unnecessary. They stopped me because I had a nice car and I was Black. Um, and they pretty much, they told me to get out of the car. They asked me all sorts of unnecessary questions. When I started to get frustrated, they like cuffed me up. They like, tossed everything out of my car. They had like their dog in there barking at me, like
Really?
shaking the car. Like it was just, it's kind of humiliating. Like I didn't do anything. And then they just kind of let me go after that because they didn't find anything.
So they had a dog with them. They had a dog with them. They was just looking for trouble.
They were looking for trouble. That's
Yeah.
what it was. They wanted to stop me. And I think maybe I didn't do myself any favors having a do-rag on and like, kind of just looking more chill, not looking as maybe formal as I normally would. And I don't know. I don't want to. I
Like,
don't
it don't
want to say
matter if
that.
you're like, formal or not. Like Black, once they see Black, they just see trouble. It don't matter if you're in a suit, unfortunately. Were you by yourself doing this when everything was happening?
Yeah, I was by myself when I was driving.
Why? So you drove all the way from Maryland to like Houston by yourself?
Well, I mean, I stopped in Atlanta also, but
Okay. What's your
yeah,
zodiac sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Oh, you're an air sign. I'm a Libra. We always doing stuff. We always doing stuff that people be like, wow. I'm just glad that you was able to get out that situation because unfortunately a lot of Black people, Black men especially, don't really get to live to be able to tell this story and situation. So how did it actually like inspire you? Because I know like it kind of changed your vibe. Like you said, it was humiliating and you went into making music. How did you incorporate that terrible, horrible, scary situation to your music?
It was really where it came in was the title, and then kind of one of the just one of the subsequent tracks kind of alluded to that. But the title came from the whole idea that watching cop shows like Law and Order, The Wire, they always when they're cuffing someone up, they say like slap the bracelets on them, right? So it's kind of a police slang for handcuffs, right? And as I was like leaving that situation, it kind of got the wheels turning, right? Because, I slowly got over like, just the humiliation, just the shock of the whole thing. And, it got the wheels turning creatively. And, I thought about the fact that I'd probably been stopped because of the way I look, being in a nice vehicle.
They just racist. I'm from the South. We just
Yeah.
know certain cities you just don't go through.
I
And we
really had no
here,
business there.
moving from the South, unfortunately, we have sundown, and it's not just you. A lot of artists, you have to travel. Let's say you had a show and you wanted to go to Houston,
Mhm.
that route, a lot of artists probably take that same route, unfortunately, Black artists. So, I think, it probably has happened to more people, but you were just brave enough to be able to tell your story on my platform, So,
Yeah,
being
appreciate
an artist that's Nigerian, like how important is it for you to, put your cultural and touch on your music when you're making it instead of just doing straight hip hop?
It's really important, and I try to be respectful of all the cultures that I draw from, because I realize that, even with Afro beats now and what they're doing over in Nigeria, they are drawing a lot of stuff from Black culture here. But, I want people to, first of all, kind of understand that, you should be your full self. All of these sides of you are important. And growing up, I kind of felt in between two cultures. There were some times I felt out of place with my Nigerian crowd because, they thought I was too American. And there were times like as a kid, I felt out of place with the Black friends because maybe I'm not Black enough or I'm too African or too foreign. But I've kind of taken those and turned them into strengths. So You know, I consider myself being like, you know, the best of having the best of both worlds and wanting to kind of inspire people to be all that you are. Don't just try to fit into one box.
Exactly.
Be authentic. So
I'm so glad you brought that up because, you know, there's been so many debates. You know, it's like, it's always a debate on social media, right? And I feel like, you know, there's always like the African culture debating with the African-American culture, and you talking about how, you know, you felt like, you know, like did you feel like they were making you choose a little bit, you know, because you have a wide range of, you know, music taste. Like your music just isn't just straight Afro beats. Like I hear hip hop, I even hear pop. Like, you know, you have a great range. I think that's what's gonna, you know, help you as an art. Look at Burna Boy, like he's different. You know, that right there, like being able to work in different cultures, that shines more light on your culture and stuff like that. That's what I believe. Do you believe that? I
I
don't
do
believe
believe that.
yeah.
I do, and I really appreciate you saying that too. You know, I think part of it is, you know, wanting to shed light on the culture to maybe help, you know, if possible, improve things
Right.
over there. But you know, like you said, I think versatility is a great thing to have, and the fact that, you know, all of these things, I try to be as authentic as possible. With it, I don't feel it's, you know, some people have made fun of Drake, for instance, when he does dance hall or when he like incorporates a different culture. And I don't really hate on that, but you know, me personally, you know, I just try to do it in a way that, you know, shows people something new, shows some people something different, and you know, at the same time, kind of shows people my whole self as well, because I'm really not just one. And also, I think like the fact that I went to somewhere like I went to Howard University, and that was a unique
Smart black
experience.
man,
So,
yes.
say it again.
I said smart black man, yes. You know, we
Oh,
always salute smart black man getting this delivery.
I appreciate that, and that gave me a whole different perspective because growing up in the DMV, right, you get used to like a certain kind of Black culture, right, and it's a beautiful culture, right, but there's certain things about it that are unique. You know, Baltimore has its own thing, DC has its own thing, but when you go to Howard, you start to interact with Black people from all over the country, right? So from Cali, you know, from the Midwest, from the South. And I think some of that also kind of influenced me as well when it came to the hip hop side, right? You know, because you can hear some sounds from the West Coast in my music. You can hear, you know, sounds from the South at times. And I try to really, you know, incorporate sounds from different regions of the United States as well. But really just comes from really falling in love with culture. I love culture. I love
And you
learning
love
about it.
music, like, you know, you have a love for music, I can tell. And I always tell artists, I think it's really important to just dabble a little bit in different genres and stuff like that, because you'll learn so much from just working with other artists and just, you know, learning about that particular genre that you probably never would have, you know, touched. I mean, Lil Wayne did a whole rock album.
Right.
Nobody expected that, right?
Mhm.
But you know, that was he showed his love for rock. Now, I take it that are both of your parents Nigerian?
Both of them are, yeah.
Okay, so I can, you know, listen to our hip hop music. You know, it's a very vulgar. So, what type of music were you listening to, you know,
Oh
when you
man,
were younger that kind of influenced your sound?
that is a great question, actually. So I think the fact that my folks did not love hip hop also kind of helped me incorporate a little bit more of the African music into, you know, what I was doing. They didn't. My folks love music, and I think I got my love for music from my father. But he's a big lover of African music from all over Africa. So I think that really gave me a lot of influences just to be diverse and eclectic with the sounds. So it's not just Nigerian, you know, Afro beats that you hear, but you hear different sounds as well. And I think that influenced me a lot. His collection was crazy. And he used to take me actually to a record store, you know, back when they still had those, right?
Yeah.
Because it was digital, but he used to take me back when I was just a little kid, and sit me up on the counter, just sampling different records. And I think that had a lasting impression on me. You know, just the fact that I really embrace all sorts of different kinds of music because he was never just pigeonholed. I know his friends would listen to certain kinds of Nigerian music, but he seemed to have like a broader range of taste. And he'd be listening to rock and roll. He'd listen to, you know, Sade. He'd listen
Oh, I love
to
that.
disco, you know, the Bee Gees. He loved all sorts of music. he wasn't really into like the vulgar, 106 Rap City type thing.
Yeah.
Whenever he caught me like watching BET, sometimes he'd like come down on me, be like, "Yo, turn off that nonsense," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that those factors really like going to school with everybody being from America here and really like inspiring me to fall in love with hip hop music and that culture. And then being at home and you're hearing music from all sorts of places in Africa, right? And that's being infused in you every day. It was just hard for that not to influence me. So at a certain point, I started dabbling into creating beats. I just just trying to recreate what I fell in love.
Wow. So you were able to create beats yourself?
Oh yeah. That's how I started. And actually, I've had work featured in pretty big places just with artists and collaborating.
Go ahead and brag about yourself. We always brag about yourself.
Oh no, I appreciate that. Like I've made some really good beats for some really great artists, and that's a part of my artistry that I like as well. A lot of people might know that might not know that I mixed and mastered the entire project that I just put out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let me tell you what's my favorite song. That Tire project is dope, and I was going to get on the production of that like later in the show. But I take it you wrote. I know you mentioned songwriting a lot too, right? Mm-hmm. So I take it you wrote the entire project as well. But even though you had features, of course, they took care of that part, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you pretty much produced and mixed and engineered your whole project.
I did.
I think, first of all, that's impressive. Two, that saves you a coin. Number one, because I know I've had a lot of producers on this show, and when they start talking about their split sheets, they got to get paid too. But I'm pretty sure that money that you probably could have, paid towards, so none of those songs sound alike. Sometimes when producers make music, we know like certain producers, like you hear a beat, you're like, okay, I know this particular producer made it. None of those, it doesn't sound like a repetitive album.
And that's the thing is, so I worked with different beat makers on the album, but as far as the mixing and mastering of the entire project, that's what I did. So I still worked with different producers.
Okay, but still, wow, that's very, very impressive as well. And you're actually in control of your own sound as well. I think nothing's worse than when you have great songs, great beats, and mixing sounds horrible. I'm pretty sure you've heard songs like, who mixed this? Like, what is going on with this? Okay.
It's just kind of distracting, you know what I mean? And, it's funny because early on, I definitely had some of that going on because you work with what you've got, right? When you start making music, you start recording, you don't have that much money. You're recording in your bedroom. I think Drake said he was recording in the bathroom or something like that. But that's one thing that evolves over time, and I'm super proud of with this project. Just the fact that, working on that part of it myself, it has such, I really love the sound, and others do too. And, I really appreciate the fact that you do as well.
Now, it was one song on there that you did a sample of a Avant. It's called what is it called again?
The Savant, right? I did that.
I love Avant. When I heard that, I said, oh no, he didn't. Like, be bold to touch that type of beat. That's such a classic song. So before we move on to the icebreaker questions, I want to just go back into the project because it is new and I think more people should hear it as well. Like, what is your creative process when it comes to naming a lot of these songs?
Oh man, I really try not to overthink it. I think that's one big thing for me. Even when I'm writing the songs, I try to like go with what feels good in the moment, right? And then I may think about it later and be like, nah, that doesn't work. But, usually I'll pick out a word or maybe a phrase that I think was like important to the song. Or, in the case of the Avant samples, the Savant, right? I titled it The Savant because of the subject matter, but because it kind of sort of rhymes with Avant as well. So, it would be kind of catchy in that way. And it's, kind of a double entendre. But, usually I would say it really depends, but a lot of the songs, it comes from like a phrase or a word in the song that really stood out to me. So I think a good example of that, would be like the song Within, right? I could have called the song, Possessions, right? Because I say, when you take a look at me, do you see my possessions? But later in the song, I say, it's not about the money, it's about what's within, right? And I thought the word within was just a lot more, it just meant a lot more for that song.
Yeah. And I don't know, it seemed like it's a little bit more, I don't know, whenever you have a song that's like one word, I kind of feel like it's almost kind of like powerful. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of songs in just one word, it just stands out more, makes you want to click on it first.
I want to draw people in with the title. And I think the whole thing is an art piece, right? So I feel like even your track listing, the sequencing of the songs, the titles themselves, they all go into the whole art piece. So
yeah, I'm a big believer of, like, especially with your intro song, it was PSA, right?
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I'm very big on like intro songs. I feel like intro songs can really break the whole project, and I really felt like it was really good. It was a really good intro song, and with you ending it with Bracelets, most artists probably would have had Bracelets at number one, but you having it at number at the end, I thought that was very clever and different. I really should be an A&R, right? I'm really good at it. I pay attention to a lot of the details, and I think that was a great song to choose for your intro, and it was PSA with one word,
And that also means a lot to me. And one thing I want to say about that is, I felt with the song Bracelets, I wanted the whole album to kind of tell a story in a way. So every song can stand on its own. You can jam to it on its own, but it kind of tells kind of a story of, starting out celebrating just, good times, things that you can buy with, with money, right? But by the end, it gets more introspective. So I wanted to kind of end it on a note, where it's not celebratory, right? It's really looking at, just myself as a person, and really just tying it up, from a thematic standpoint. So, that's what I was going for with y'all.
No meaning. So we're gonna get into my favorite part. We're gonna ask a few, questions just to get to know you better. These are kind of the icebreaker questions. I'm gonna ask you either or, and I'm gonna throw in just some regular simple questions. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so the first one is FaceTime or text?
Man, I want to say text is more convenient. I can text more on the fly. Even if I'm in a spot that's like loud, it can be easier. But I like FaceTime too, so I don't want to say I don't like FaceTime, but I'll probably say text first.
Okay. Next, text me with FaceTime. I'm pretty sure can't nobody just randomly FaceTime you, right?
Nah.
Yeah, I think most people prove they just can't just randomly. As soon as you get somebody's number, it's like FaceTime, like wait, you got to ease into this. Next, take out or home cook?
Home cook.
Okay, well, you are Nigerian, so I expect that. Can you cook?
I do. No, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm like the Iron Chef or anything like that. But I do like what I make, and I've gotten some good reviews. So
okay. Yeah. Next, are you a lover boy or a playboy?
Ooh. Oh, why you trying to put me on the spot, expose me?
You know what? I've been throwing that in there for the guys because I'm just nosy. Okay, I got a
lover boy, without question. I'm a lover boy.
Okay. What will other women say about you?
They would say that I'm a lover boy as well.
Okay.
Now I'm an Aquarian, so I'm not someone, and your zodiac doesn't define you or anything.
Yeah.
But, I can say I'm a free spirit. So I've never been one to want to like control someone, or I've never been big on like feeling super tied down. But I really love, and I think that it's a beautiful thing. I would prefer, to find the right person than to just, be a player, so to speak. So
I was, now that we're on that subject, because I got to be nosy, of course. I was going to ask, but you are Nigerian. I know it's really, really important, in your culture, to, settle down and, do it the right way. So you are not taken.
No, I'm not taken. I'm not married. Okay. I'm dating, but I'm not married.
Yeah, boom. Hold on, you say you're dating. Hold on, wait a minute. I don't want
to. There's nobody like. There's no one exclusively in the picture.
Okay, I was like, I don't want to promote. Have her watching it. I had a situation like that with another interview, and his girlfriend was literally peeking behind the corner. I was like, wait, let me just clear that up. And next, what brings you peace in life?
Oh man, knowing that the people that I care about are doing well. That's, I would say, number one. And that really, family, friends,
Right.
and just their well-being. I'm not someone who really needs a lot. From other people. I would say I'm generally pretty independent, but if I feel like my brother, or I feel like one of my parents, or just one of my close friends is going through a rough time, that definitely would disturb my peace for sure.
Wow, that's so dope. Next, who is the first person that you call with good news?
Wow. I would say the first person I would call with good news would probably be one of my siblings, like probably my sister.
How many siblings do you have?
I got 3 siblings.
Okay, so how many sisters and brothers?
I got one sister. She's, right under me, and then I got 2 brothers.
Oh,
So, I mean, one of those 3, because we're all close. So.
Oh, that's so amazing. I'm an only child. I'm jealous.
I'm the oldest, and I think there's a little piece of every like oldest child that sometimes is like, man, what would it have been like if it had just stayed just me? But honestly, I think that regardless, there's beauty in all of it, whether you're like one of 10 or like one of one. But I'm fascinated though. How did you enjoy being an only child? What is that like?
I think I'm too independent now. I really am the type of person I just go on solo. I do have a child. She's the only child on my side. So, she enjoys her peace here when she's here. And when she goes to her dad, it's noisy up there. She has brothers, it's you can tell she appreciates, being the only child here. But
Right.
I liked it. I had friends and things. It just gets harder as you get older and, certain things, family things come up and you have to deal with it on your own,
Right.
Siblings to lean on, so that's unfortunate.
Right.
But I think I'm doing okay,
Well, I'm glad to hear that too.
Yeah. And last, this is a tough one: Afro beats or hip hop? I don't know why I threw that in there. I was like, let me just see.
You're really not messing around. These are good questions, but I have to say, at the end of the day, I truly, truly fell in love with hip hop first, or Afro beats, right? I think African music in general, if you're gonna ask me African music, just from the entire world, it may be a more difficult question.
Yeah.
But Afro beats, I think it's a more recent phenomenon.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah. Afro beats with the S at the end. Afro beat with Fela, from like the 70s, and then that's different. But I would say hip hop was my first love. Like I really fell hard for hip hop when I first, when I was first exposed to it. And I really wasn't supposed to be. My grandmother, she had visited from Nigeria. She just gave me this little radio. I was like 7 years old, and I turned into the local rap station, and I was just like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
What is this stuff?
It's like you get hooked, and I think it's always a beauty when you think back on, like, are you born in the 90s or the 80s?
I was born in the 90s.
Okay, I'm a 90s baby too, and I fell in love with pop music. My grandmother did not want me listening to pop music for some reason. But once I heard Britney Spears, I was like, this is my song. Once you hear like a song, like it kind of gravitates to your taste. And as you get older, like that taste sticks with you and you start experimenting. So I can just imagine. What artists do you remember listening to on the radio?
Oh my God. I remember it still vividly. I know exactly who was out. It was 2001. It was Nelly, E.I. was popping on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
Jay-Z, Girls, Girls, Girls was popping, and H to the Izzo was popping. Welcome to Atlanta, Jermaine Dupri.
Oh, them good times.
So, yeah, it was a good year. It was a good year.
So sad.
There was a lot of good songs out at that time. I think it was one of the best years you could fall in love with rap, just because it was the perfect blend of hard. I guess rap was still in its kind of hard phase.
Fun, it really was fun. These days, hip hop is just so dark, and everybody's just worshiping the devil and everybody's want to shoot and kill each other. Like music back then used to be fun. The guys used to have the beautiful, girls in the video. It was just such a good time. And I remember even being a little kid, you'd be like, wow. Now being an adult, you watch music video, you're like, oh my God.
Back in the day, they had like Missy Elliott, Neptune's, and then that was the era that I really
creative. Wow. So that makes sense on why you fell in love with hip hop. And I think that was a good example as well too. Now you're gaining a lot of buzz with your new project that just came out. So what can we expect from this project? Any new music videos? What's going to be the next single that you actually push?
Oh man, right now I'm in between two of them. There's a song called Elite on the project with a great artist, by the way. I want to shout out Justice Chanel. But yeah, I would love to shoot a video for that, just because I think that's, it paints a really, really cool picture. But Stop Me is another one I think would be fun for the summertime as well. And that's got a really cool, just like West Coast vibe to it. And, I was feeling inspired by just like the whole Bay Area sound. And just for the summertime, I think it really fits. So that probably will be the next one. But Elite, I want to do that one too.
Yes. Now, how do you even collab with other artists? I just love when up and coming artists come together and collab. I just think it's really, really important because, either one of you all can take off and it can help put, one of you in a better light. So how are you able to meet a lot of these artists? Like, do you just reach out to them on social media, or is it a really close knit circle up there in Maryland?
There are certain artists that it's just, we're tight knit and we've known each other for a long time. But these days, especially like since the pandemic, the internet has been like a huge resource for sure. So, it's been a matter of finding artists that I think are just really cool online. We just get to talking. It's never really just like, boom, I'm recording the thing, but you try to build relationships the same way that you would, if you were networking in person. So that's how I try to approach it.
The pandemic really, really helped. I think I made a lot of social media friends through the pandemic because all we had was really talking with each other and, networking. And sometimes I feel like networking online, you can really meet more people that's more in common than people in your city. I don't know. Do you feel like you've made better connections online, meeting a lot of artists, or better just going out and just bumping into people?
Man, I would say, and I don't want to diss this area for sure. I think I've met a lot of great artists in this area, and I've really enjoyed being in the DMV. But I think that, being online has given me the opportunity to kind of connect with artists with a different kind of flavor and sound. And, just, I feel like it gives you a little bit more freedom, going to networking events and meeting artists. Some of them may be serious, some of them may not. Some of them, you may like the quality of their stuff. Some of them you may not. But if you're networking with someone online and you you come across them, you're able to kind of I guess, you're able to get a better introduction to their work.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way of explaining it. I feel the same way as well. So we're at the end of the interview. I want to say thank you so much for being on. How was that? Thank you so much for being open and just really opening up. I think that's really important. Let me just say a disclaimer to artists, please, y'all. In order for these interviews to really go well, you got to be able to talk. You got to be able to talk. I'm gonna make sure I post this somewhere because this is really, really important. Just be open. I try to make you all feel as comfortable as possible to make you feel comfortable talking to me because I am a stranger. So it may be a little hard. But how was that?
Oh, it was good. I should be asking you that because you're the critique. I don't want to say I was nervous, but I was like, I hope I'm doing a good job.
Oh, you can never do like a bad job on here as long as you're being yourself and you're just opening up to the questions. Like, we're gonna have a good time. Even if you would have not talked and was too shy to talk, I would have did something to make you laugh, to make you get out of it. But I'm glad that you had a great time. I want to say thank you so much as well. And anything else you want to let us know your social media, where people can find you and how we can listen to your album, Bracelets. What platforms?
So you can listen to Bracelets on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, just the whole works. And you can follow me on Instagram, African Chisom. That is African Chisom. And yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm gonna stop the recording now.